It is now a mere 4 points between Haken and Courtinemi, meaning if they finish as they have in the last 3 races, Topi would take the championship lead today. After last week's brand new circuit, this time out we venture onto a track that most are intimately familiar with. Okayama sees plenty of action from the roadside on iRacing, and it'll be tough to find an edge as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. For those not on iRacing, you'd be forgiven for not knowing much about Okayama. Let's head to our track guide to find out a little bit more about the place. Welcome to Okayama International Circuit. Located an hour's drive northeast of its titular city, it sits nestled among the green, lush hills in southern Japan. Built in 1990, it's most well known for the 2 visits Formula One made in 94 and 95. But since then, national and international touring car series have come to race here as well. Otherwise, the 2 available layouts are mostly used for club racing and amateur track days. The full course is just under 4 kilometers with 11 turns, and the short version is a measly 2 kilometers with 7 turns. It does this by cutting out the portion between Williams and Revolver. While hairpins abound throughout the lap, overtakes tend to be surprisingly hard. The first corner, Atwood Curve, and Hairpin are the main spots where drivers can attempt a traditional pass. Hairpin makes for unique battles though. The unusually steep banking for a road course, plus the switch back into Revolver, means that holding it around the outside can reward a brave driver. However, while it is a more modern facility, runoff in some places is shockingly small, and it can be easy to damage your car. This section in particular around Revolver, Piper, and Redmond gets slightly claustrophobic. The pit entry requires some practice since you must use the inside lane of Mike Knight, otherwise you'll get a penalty. While it might not see as much use in the real world, here on iRacing, this track is part of the base content, and so new road racers will find themselves here frequently. With it being suitable for a wide range of styles of cars, it's sure to excite many of the competitors who tackle it. Well, Christian, other than hosting 2 relatively unloved Formula One races, I'd say iRacing kind of breathed some new life into this place.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of one of those tracks that I think people are aware of, but kind of forget that it exists. And then obviously it's rookie content on iRacing, so if you've raced anything on road, there's basically no excuse for not knowing your way around this place, because I think at some point everyone has driven this track. And, you know, it is a tricky track. Obviously the passing place that we're kind of going to be most focused on is into the hairpin, because you can get some really nice crossover lines coming through Atwood, which creates some opportunities. But tricky corners on this track, a lot of kind of 90-degree corners and hairpins. Revolver, super easy to just loop the car around there. Redmond, Hobbs, you don't really see mistakes where you go off there, but there's easy to lose a lot of time. Mike Knight, you can obviously end up in the gravel before the best named last corner, which is where you can really kind of make a run down into the appropriately named first corner as well. So you can pass here, but it is very difficult, and it's mostly going to be kind of generated by people making mistakes.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for it. You'd think with all the hairpins that people would be making more overtakes, but I guess in these powerful of cars, it's going to be tough. But for today's event, they're going to have 23 laps to try and either get it right and make that pass, or get it wrong and give up a spot. Open setup in this series, and you got to think that low speed mechanical grip is going to be key around here. No spare car, and well, there's a lot of places where drivers are going to find that the walls are very close to the edge of the track, so you'll have to certainly keep it together, or you'll find a bit of damage on it, no doubt, if you have too many of those mistakes. Also, they have some penalties if you go off track or spin or hit anything at 17 times. Well, you're going to have a drive-through penalty. You get a disqualification at 25 here today. Now, for the championship standings, I talked about it. Topi Courtinemi is now only 4 behind, and with them trading with them trading the first and second, well, not trading really, Topi finishing first, Hawk in second in the last 3 rounds. If they finish that way today, then Topi will be ahead of Brandon in the points and take the championship lead. Behind them, Sebastian Tixier still looking for that maiden win. I feel like at this point we just need to start playing a recording of me saying that at some point in the broadcast, but he's obviously up to third, so he's still kind of hovering around there. Hisada a bit back, but he's missed a couple races. We'll see if he's around much for the remainder of the season. How about the battle there for fifth, though? Look at Sanchez, Walker, Nieva, Zoko, and Olsen, all within 10 points of one another for that fifth spot. And then Robert Plumley is not that far behind himself back there, 10th. So we've also got the F2 championship denoted by the iRating. How's that one sitting over there, Christian?
Well, to no surprise, really, David Rossi is still leading the F2 championship. He has 10 points over Michael Grissinger, but the point scores at Fuji were actually really, really close last week. So Rossi had 35, Grissinger 36. Covista sat there in third. He picks up 34. So it's actually really difficult to gain points in the F2 Championship this season, just because everyone is, so consistent and they're actually very, very evenly matched on pace. It's really mistakes making the difference here. But Hideki Covista, 21 points back in third. He's got 6 points over Don Peak in fourth, with Gary Ho another 2 points back in fifth. So all the way down to fifth place within 30 points, and then only 2 points back to Abretta. And then you go down to Zach Purcell. He's 57 points back in 10th. When you consider it's 35-ish points in the F2 Championship per race for the winner, this is really tightly ran, actually.
Yeah, that could certainly change your round within a heartbeat, especially with the chaos that you get in the mid-pack. But speaking of chaos, well, we've seen a switch around in the Cup of Nations. Finland is now up ahead of Canada. And, of course, being contributed mostly by Topi Kortenemi, but there have been others that have been adding on to that. But the United States and Spain still very hotly contested for the third position, only 2 points between them. And then, once again, just like we had in the F1 Championship, it's a battle for fifth. Only 8 points from fifth down to seventh, and only 12 points down to 8th position as well, there with Singapore, Australia, and Japan chasing the UK. Denmark and Slovakia round out a distant 9th and 10th. We're in the midst of the qualifying currently out here today, and they have Topi up on the provisional pole with Brandon Hawken having just completed his second lap and unable to best him. In fact, it is a massive gap, as you can now see the left-hand side with the tower, 0.6 of a second that Topi has found over him, and it looks like Tixier has now just jumped up into third as well.
Yeah, that was a mega lap by Topi. So his first was a 28.7, and then he went half a second faster on lap 2, and he was already on the pole. So, I guess that's just really confirming the pace that we've seen from him all season. In qualifying, he's just been... He really has been on a totally different level.
Yeah, it seems if he didn't have that bad luck at the start, as there was a bit of a slide there into Atwood. And jumping on to another of our drivers, I'm keeping an eye on Ove Trangarade. His first lap, good enough for only 8th, surprisingly. This is Sebastian Tixier that we're on board with. He's taken both of his laps, so he comes to a halt on the back stretch as well. I see Mosquera finishing up a lap, and it looks like Matt McRae needs to finish a lap along with Nathaniel Johnson. So there's not too many that are still out there on the second flyer here in this last 2 minutes. We watch from on board McRae, who is currently sitting in 26. Not a name that I am familiar with in this series, and I'm not sure if he's participated much in the Grand Prix Legends. Let's see what his second lap holds for him. And a 31.1. Ooh, big improvement there for him, but only gets him up to 25th despite half a second faster.
Yeah, it's quite tightly packed, really. For the 10th is a 29.7, but then you go back to 11th and it's a 30 flat. Okay, well, that takes you pretty much all the way down to 22nd within that 1 second bracket. So an improvement on the second lap, if you're in that group, will make a huge difference. And as we talked about, passing at this track is very, very difficult. So qualifying is very, very important.
You got to think that Ove Trangrade's going to want a better one than his 29.6 for sure, as he's coming around the final corner himself with about a minute left to go, so just about squeaked it in time. And the number 13, as I watch him cross the line, gets a 29 flat. That's up to fourth. That seems a little bit better. In the meantime, I see Andrew Joyce looking to set a first time, but will not have time to come around for a second one. And I think that's going to be it. Yeah, that's the only other car able to set a time. So Andrew, does not set a time, has it deleted. And that is going to make for a bit of a rough day here in Japan. Our second visit of the season after going to Fuji for the very first time. Let's see who can make up for a poor race back there here in the hills. As let's take a look at the starting grid. Topi Kortiniemi, as we mentioned, has taken the pole by a pretty wide margin here today. 0.6 of a second over Brandon Hawken. That does not bode well for the man challenging for the championship, as Sebastian Tixier will start from third. Can he get lucky today? Can he actually outpace them, shockingly? Ove Trangrade will start next to him. Mikko Leno will be in fifth, with Ben Zocco in the sixth position. Then it's Ryan Walker on the inside of row 4. You've got Jorge Nieva starting from 8th. Laust Olsen will be 9th, and Pekka Risto P10.
Last drive in the 1 minute 29's Matt Wright lines up in 11th alongside Kyle Ridley in 12th. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, he's there in 13th with a 130.07. Miro Razki alongside him in 14th. David Rossi, F2 points leader, in 15th with Javier Mosquera alongside him. John Olsen, really quite far back today, starting in 17th with Robert Plummer alongside him in 18th. Then Cam Porter and Will Lamb in the back end of the top 20.
Noticing a steady climb for Don Peak, qualifying 21st this time. Michael Grissinger 22nd, then Tobias Harvey P23. Marcus Seufzer will start from 24th, followed by Nathaniel Johnson in P25. Matt McRae, who we followed around, was able to get up to 26th in the end. Roberto Pangrazzi was 27th. David Cohen will start 28th, and then the next row it's Zach Purcell, followed by Andrew Ang.
Eric Way lines up in 31st with Andreas Nielsen alongside them in 32nd. Terry Trumshauer, last driver to set a qualifying time, in 33rd. He's got Ray Oliver alongside him. Milo Lago, Shinzuke Tashima in 36th. Andrew Joyce, Christian Erebus, and back row Bob rounding out a 39-car field.
Absolutely, and just about have all 39 of them gridded up already. In fact, it does look like, nope, we're missing one, I see, as we look down the field. So will they run out of time in these last 9 seconds? Nope, they are popped out there. All right, big field. Will they all make it to the checkered flag as the lights come up and the engines start to rev? And the green flag is out. Coming down into the first corner, it's a pretty good start for Topi Kortiniemi. Hawken is going to slot into line behind him. Battle for fourth back there between Leno and Trangrade. Leno's going to come out ahead. A little bit of blinking from Ben Zocco, but he manages to get away with that without any sort of contact. Behind in the field, I don't see anybody off the first corner. It looks like we're clean.
Yeah, top 20 looks like they made it through turns 1 and 2 okay. And, you know, there's some 3 wide, and there's some cars who've made some great starts. We're going to have to see when they come across the line as to who's made some big gains.
On to the back stretch, and this is where everybody's going to be eager to try and make those passes down into hairpin now that they're all close together here on the first lap. Who will be near enough? Hawken takes a little bit of a look, but stays in line, a little deep there for Tixier behind him. Mostly single file into the corner until you get to the very back of the pack, it seems.
Yeah, and then we have got a couple of moves going on there at the back end of the top 20. There's some double file going on through the hairpin right now. They need to get single file before they get to revolver, otherwise that's going to be really tricky.
And they're going to stick with it. It is so slow through there side by side, and somehow they get past it without anybody into the wall. A couple little looks from people coming down into Hobbs as well. And it looks like Marco Salgado has had a problem, though, coming through Hobbs. Or no, Redmond, rather.
And I was thinking that we might get everyone through the first lap, and I didn't want to say it for fear of cursing everybody, but apparently just thinking about it has done it. And we got another spinner further back in the line as well.
And Hawken had a slowdown penalty. Hawken had to give up multiple positions, as I think he'd cut too far inside of Mike Knight.
Yeah, that's an area where you can do it because it's kind of paved and the pit lane entry is there, and you do sort of want to hook the right sides over that curb, and it does help you get a bit of a better run into the last corner. But obviously you are playing with fire a little bit, and it has bit Hawken.
Up ahead of him, nice battle between Trangrade and Leno as they come up the backstretch. A little bit of wheels in the grass there for the Norwegian, so Trangrade slips up and falls backwards into the clutches of Hawken, and he's going to immediately try and take a dive down into Hairpin. I think he might have it done unless Ove's going to get feisty. He is going to get feisty, and he cuts back. Oh, but he spins, and everybody tries to avoid. Thankfully, he's able to get out of the racing line.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Ove looking like he was almost going to give the position up, and then, well, we saw Ove arrive when they got to Revolver, but unfortunately it went wrong for him this time, and he has looped around. I'll try and figure out where he's come back out in the line, but it's not looking good.
He arrived and then tripped over the threshold, it seems, and fell through the door and back out. So here is the replay of that one. Trangrade in the orange car, the yellow bean Hawken. Nice move, and then sometimes you will see a fight back, but it seems he fought back a little too hard, and the 13 goes for a spin. And man, great credit to everybody behind. It's so easy to be on a trajectory out of that corner.
Yeah, absolutely, and Ove, I believe, has gone all the way back to 23rd spot, so he's got a recovery drive to do here, because it's going to be difficult for him to make up these positions back. But it was those kind of corners like Revolver where the kind of not really a forgiving corner in the best of cars. It's quite easy for everything to loop around, but the 49 is especially sensitive to that kind of corner type that unloads the rear, and I did think that we might see a couple of cars sort of half looping. Wasn't expecting one of them to be over though.
Yeah, certainly not. And I think Andrew Joyce as well towards the back had a problem coming through Atwood. Otherwise, I'm a bit surprised it's as clean as it is. Only Pongrazi and Joyce have had those little issues along with Trangrade, and then it says Shiba for some reason is visiting pit lane. So I'll have to check and see why that is as we look at Jorge Nieva down here in 7th, up 1 from where he began. A lot of these drivers up at the top are up 1 because of Trangrade right now. Very few have been losing positions, so maybe, like you said earlier, it'll be less about passing and more about limiting mistakes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Hawken try and make a little bit of a recovery drive here, but I think he's already too far back now to challenge Topi. It was going to look difficult. He's making a move on Lino here.
Gonna do it the long way around. Oh, Miko having a bit of a bobble coming through Williams, and that's going to give it up around the long way. Brandon Hawken is on a mission. We're only on lap 4 here, and he's setting this place a bit on fire lately. So next on his list, going to be Sebastian Tixier.
Yeah, Tixier is already 2.5 seconds behind Topi, so that pace from Topi in qualifying looks like it's certainly transferred to the race so far. And it's really been the race starts at the beginning of the season that kind of went against Topi, but since I want to say post Long Beach, it's really kind of swung massively the opposite direction. He's had these great starts, great first laps, and he's pretty much often been clear of the field by the end of lap 1. And then I don't want to say it's a boring race for him, but he's probably quite happy that it's kind of a quiet race.
Yeah, I imagine that he's been glad to see his luck kind of turning the other way. And you're right, Long Beach was his first win. Since then, Imola and Fuji, 3 in a row. And wondering if Hawken will once again make it 4 times as the same 1-2 with Korteniemi and then Hawken in second. As we take a look at the onboard cam of Laust Olsen. Laust currently sitting in 8th position. He's giving chase on a number of cars. That's Jorge Nieva, Ryan Walker, and Ben Zoko in front of him.
Yeah, Ben Zoko up 1 into the top 5, and we saw him have a little bit of a half loop last week, which cost him some positions, but Laust again on the top 10 watch. But outside of the kind of the top 10, there has been quite a bit more movement. Everybody inside the top 10 sort of stayed plus minus 1-2 positions, and that's, I think, pretty much what we expected, just with the nature of the track. And The field spread is enough, and the straights aren't really long enough to keep everyone packed together with the draft like we've seen at other tracks.
Certainly. Man, this is really starting to build up. Last time out, we talked about Ryan Walker being the one kind of holding people back. Now it is Ben Zocco. This goes essentially all the way, what looks like to 15th. Robert Plumley down there. It's a huge train that is just suddenly kind of all scrunching together, and none of them able to make overtakes for the time being, but they've got a number of laps left, so there are going to be chances, there are going to be opportunities.
Yeah, we're used to seeing kind of small mini groups form in this series, packs of 2 to maybe 4 or at most 5 cars, but today it really is a constant line all the way back to, as you say, about that 15th-ish spot. Maybe even if you want to extend it as far back as 20th, because the gaps just really aren't that large.
Olsen took a little bit of a look on trying to pass Nieva that time into the first corner. Just not enough, a long enough front stretch, not a heavy enough braking zone into that first turn. Maybe into hairpin as we watch them swing into Atwood. And then this has got to be really tough in this car, getting on the throttle on this curved uphill.
Yeah, the 49 is the car that kind of really doesn't like you to put the power down in anything other than a straight line. It makes places like the S's at Watkins Glen particularly tricky, so I think an interesting line to take through Atwood is to try and kind of square off the corner as soon as possible, just get the wheel straight and hope that you've sort of pointed it in enough of the right direction that it's going to just make the corner exit quite nice, because if you have to put a late correction in, that's when you see the car kind of snap sideways, and it really, really hurts the run onto the straight.
Really does. And man, things have been tight here, but I can tell you that Ove Trangerade is making a lot of spots up, partly because of I think people are simply not fighting him that hard. He just took 18th over Cam Porter, but Cam nearly got run into as he lifted a little bit coming out of Revolver, or out of Piper rather. But Brandon Hawken with the fastest lap of the race back there in third place. That is interesting. So even quicker than Topi Kortaniemi at this stage.
Yeah, 28.4 is really, really fast. That's only 0.2 off of Topi's pole time.
And there you can see that's Trangerade just took another one. Mosquera, again, not fighting him, just letting him have the inside once he had the better run down the front stretch. So that moves him now up into 17th. That's still a huge loss, though, down 13 from where he began.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that Ove is our biggest mover in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it seems to be the case here. So as we come back to the back stretch once again, behind him, a little bit of a battle there, though. That's Cam Porter and Javier Mosquera looking like they might switch positions. Cam's another one of our onboards here today, and he is going to get that, so move Cam into 18th.
And it looked like Marcus Seifer was having a look on Don Peak right behind as well.
Here we go. After a little bit of some glitching, we get a nice clear view of Cam with the rocker cam is what we've deemed it. Whole thing kind of rotating back and forth with how he's hooked it up, and the chair kind of moving back and forth, giving us a nice sense of some of the motion that I'm sure the real drivers would have been feeling. But as he comes around through Mike Knight, next for him is going to be Ove Trangerade, so probably not next to him. Ove is going to continue to streak away. Man, it's a huge gap up to Will Lamb, so this looks like maybe Cam instead is just going to play the leader of this train for a brief moment up there in the 18th position. I'll tell you one thing that's getting a little close is Zocco and Walker. And we've seen Walker been able to play the engine in this train before. I wonder if he's going to try that again to see them fight for what is 5th place currently.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a replay of a battle that we've seen a few times this season. I think the only driver that we're missing from this, I forget his name, but his car is exactly the same almost as Ryan Walker's.
And now I can't think of who it is. Is it John Olsen? Is it the other Olsen that we're thinking of?
No, it's no. John and Lauster always have the same yellow cars and the similar-ish enough last name that it's always difficult when they battle with each other. And some contact down at the first hairpin. Someone spun around.
It looks like
it's Kyle Ridley.
I think, yeah, into Redmond. He got hit by, I think, Pekka Risto. And I think this actually starts from Kyle having an issue. Watch this. Yeah, he's going in deep. He thinks he's recovered. And then suddenly the 20 is there, and these things do not like to interlock wheels.
Yeah, they are not a fan of that. And the driver I was thinking of, Bill Tyler. I don't see him here in the field today. But yes, we've seen some battles that involve Ryan Walker and Bill Tyler go back and forth for a vast majority of the season.
Yeah, not sure why we don't have Bill here today. Usually it was a regular for many seasons. And we'll have to see if we can catch up with him and see what's been going on. And if he'll come back to give us even more action here because, man, it's getting a little bit hot. And Zoko is going to have to release some steam and get away from Ryan Walker if he wants to try and get out of this hot kitchen. So number 7 under pressure and dealing with it admirably up to this point, forcing Ryan to have to make the difficult pass around this twisty track.
Yeah, and we've seen this really from Ben a lot, that he can kind of lead the train and doesn't really make mistakes. And whenever we speak to him, he always seems so calm about everything. He's just like, oh yeah, I was in a battle with them the entire race, and you know it was just how it was kind of thing. And it's always really amusing to me because you know that in the car it's just not like that. When you've got someone just kind of bolted right behind you for the entire race, it is really, really difficult to not make mistakes. And we often see Ben just doing a great job of that. He's difficult to pass because he doesn't make mistakes.
Well, I can tell you one of the kind of not secrets about why he does sound so calm at the end is it's very late at night when he's racing down there in Australia, and so he's trying not to wake up his family around him when he does his interviews. So that's why he's kind of very soft-spoken when we talk to him post-race. But I'm with you. I'm pretty sure inside the cockpit right now, it is anything but relaxed, especially with someone as quick as Ryan Walker. The Scotsman is very good at these low downforce cars. He's been very fast in the SRF as well, which is a very different beast to this one, but also one that does not rely on a lot of aero bits. And he tends to, for some reason, just jive with these types of machines.
Yeah, and we've seen him become a very, very consistent top 10 and often top 5 driver in the series. So is for sure adapted to the car well. And you know, the interesting thing about what's similar between this car and the Spec Racer Ford, it's the lift-off oversteer at corner entry. The newer SRF is a little bit more tame in that regard, but the old one, that was an art form to kind of drive that through slow-speed corners. And I got to think that with a lot of sort of the half spins we see in the 49, where it's at corner entry, or it starts at corner entry and then ends at the exit, a similar-ish style or just awareness of that kind of lift oversteer is going to be helpful.
Yeah, that Spec Racer taught me brake and throttle at the same time, definitely. Seufzer, in the meantime, down in the mid-pack once again. Got a lot of cars here following up on Don Peak. I mentioned Marcus there, Michael Grissinger, who had a nice battle with him recently. And then behind, you've got Dave Cohen as well. And Don is currently up 1. He was up higher than that a little bit earlier. I think train grade coming through has moved one of those positions back once again. Oh, and a big slide there from Seufzer. Here comes Grissinger on him.
Yeah, and Grissinger could really do with gaining some positions here because Rossi is up in 12th. And he's back here in 22nd, so he's going to lose another 10 points if this is where he finishes. As Rossi loses position, actually, so make that 9 points.
Man, it is so tight down there in that mid-pack battle for the F2 championship as they come off of Piper once again. John Olsen and then Pekka Risto just in front of him. Pekka having a little bit of contact, but seems to have gotten away with it. Meanwhile, let's see the progress of Trangerade. After a few laps of having to play catch-up, he's chased down Will Lamb, and now he is through into 16th.
Yeah, and quite a big gap now to the next car. Ridley is about 2.5-ish seconds ahead of Will Lamb, so It's not going to be an easy recovery for Trengard. We're almost halfway through the race now, and you know he's still back here. He hasn't cracked into the top 10 yet.
Certainly not. And as we watch Trengard down in 16th, this is going to certainly be either a drop week or one to forget for him. He hasn't really been in the championship hunt this season just due to some inconsistency. In fact, yeah, he's down in 12th coming into the race today, so he's probably more thinking just wins and one-offs from here on to the end of it, as he's in the past fought and won championships in this series. But right now, Topi Korteniemi trying to become the latest to add his name to that list. And in fact, I believe there's only 2 drivers, if I recall correctly, that have won multiple championships.
I believe that's correct. And I was actually just looking back at the front of the field, and Hawkin and Tixia have swapped around. And I'm not sure what lap that happened, but there's a little bit of chat in the driver's chat, and it seems like it was quite, you know, everyone was quite friendly about it. Everybody said thank you to each other, so I don't know if Tixia just let him past or if there was a bit of a battle or not.
It looks like it was a one-off. 3 drivers have multiple championships: Claridge, Dudignon, and Olenek. We've got 5 drivers that have claimed a single championship: Jim Shedlick, Ove Trengard, Rafael Dorado, Toba Hisada, and actually Topi Korteniemi does have one already, I'm seeing. So apologies to Topi on that one. He is trying to become the latest in a very small group.
And I think he's honestly on course for that, providing there's no more hiccups throughout the season, as we got some contact in the mid-pack. Pecaristo, David Rossi, and I believe it was John Olsen. Everyone survived it, but it was very sketchy for a moment through Atwood.
I was going to say, I don't think it's over. They're coming down into hairpin, and drivers could get antsy to try to get those spots back. In fact, it looks like Plumley's going to try and use the outside, and does so to great effect to go around David Rossi. Thought maybe he could even have John Olsen there, but that one's not to be. And they continue on out of Piper, but Plumley, a bit surprising to be as far down as 13th, as he's had some good races recently.
Yeah, we've seen Plumley's another one of those drivers who's kind of become a feature inside the top 10, but recently the qualifying performances have really not been there. And you know, for a while in the season, he was actually second in points, but he's progressively slipped back as we've seen the recovery from Topi, and everybody else has kind of got more points on the board. So Robert looking like he's going to get a top 15 here today, but probably not a top 10.
Watching Laust Olsen now. This is Jorge Nieva just in front of him, tantalizingly close, but doesn't seem like he can find a way by for now. Up in front of him, it's not too far between Walker and Soko still, but this is definitely the closest battle between both those pairs, and wide off of Atwood. Nieva is now vulnerable. Laust knows it. He's going to stick his nose down to the inside as he looks to outbrake him into hairpin, but it looks like he does not have the guts, even though he keeps his nose a little bit peeked in just to see if he could scare him off. We'll have to try again later.
Yeah, I don't think even if he'd have been alongside that the move was necessarily going to come off. We've seen a lot of 2 wide through there, then kind of flip back to the defending car as they come through Revolver.
Hopping on board with him to watch his view. Surprisingly, not much of a pucker factor here today, as he seems to be pretty calm. If you're new to GSRC, we often call it the pucker cam, just because of the fact that he tends to try and pucker his lips up as soon as you see him getting a little nervous or a little bit tense out there. So the way we see Laust Olsen right now, this tells me that he is in his comfort zone.
Yeah, he's looking quite calm today, and you know, why not? He's inside the top 10. He's in this kind of one-car battle with Nieva. He's got a nice gap back to right, about 5 seconds there, so this is going well for Laust.
Still has to go for another 8 laps here, 9 laps or so before we are done with today, though, so he's got to keep it together. And like we said, it's easy to make mistakes around this track. So many slow corners and heavy braking zones. around here with the car, wants to go around. He's definitely dropped off of Jorge Nieva. So a close moment. Now maybe he's backing off and regrouping. See if something else will give him a chance a little bit later on. By the way, we are on course for another 1-2 as Hawken is in second and running away from Tixier, with Topi Korteniemi continuing to lead. If it wasn't for that slowdown penalty, we are currently about 5 seconds apart between first and second place. So you got to think that Hawken would have at least been able to somewhat keep up with Topi today.
Yeah, I think that's possibly true. You know, we have seen some fast laps from Hawken. It's also probably true that Topi isn't running the car as fast as he could right now, and you know, he has had a quiet race, so we don't know what his outright max potential race pace was going to be. But yeah, obviously the slowdown kind of robbed us of any chance of seeing it.
Bit wide there for Olsen coming off the final corner, just taking it out to the edge of the curb, and he's going to go wide again through the first corner, maybe pushing a little too hard here, trying to make his way back up to the gearbox of Jorge Nieva, and that puts them a little bit too far apart for anything to happen. What if we could jump back to Plumley once again, because Rossi and Ridley are right behind him, and they've got some fun approaching. Ove Trangrade on his rush back through the field has reached this trio.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how fast Ove can actually get through this line, or if he can, because you know, his progress has really not been maybe as fast as we would have expected, and obviously these drivers are in their own battle. They're not going to give anything up for free here.
Don't need to go to it, but Dave Cohen had a run-in with Don Peak, and it looks like Peak is able to carry on, but Cohen spun off the track and had to take a tow. Too much damage from there. Meanwhile, coming down through Revolver and Piper, it's not just this group, but also Pekka Risto and John Olsen fighting in front of them. Things could get really spicy here as soon as somebody makes a mistake.
Yeah, this is kind of where those two car battles slow each other down and start to reform the big lines and pack that we've seen. As we see a move, really, all on the inside of Mike Knight.
I thought about it. John Olsen wants to try and get by Pekka Risto. No dice that time. And Pekka is strong off the corner. He keeps himself out of arm's reach of John Olsen, at least for this turn. But man, there's some interesting and creative moves that are trying to happen out there. Big puff of smoke up ahead. Not sure if somebody had an incident. It does look to be going off course, so I think somebody maybe had to take a tow there.
It might have been Jorge Nieva, because he has lost the position to Laust Olsen.
Ooh, I hope there wasn't contact involved in that one. Ooh, there was. It was with a lapped car coming into Williams, and that was Roberto Pongrazi, who was shoved off course. You're going to see it into the turn 2 here. Just gets into the back of him, second guessing which way he's going to go, and that slowed him up enough that Laust Olsen pips by.
Yeah, and whilst we look at that replay, everyone is kind of packed up now behind Plumley.
In fact, Ove Trangrade just got by Kyle Ridley, so there's one down for him. David Rossi's up next.
And this line, it looks like it goes all the way to the back of Pekka Risto at the moment, and after that, Ratsky is not that much further up the road either.
Got back row Bob coming up in front of him, so they're going to have some lap traffic. Oh, he's spinning! And they're going to be able to get around him as he spins to the inside. That slowed up Risto, and I thought maybe there'd be some passes on him, but it looks like Olsen is now the one under attack, because here comes Robert Plumley trying to see if he can pull the over-under through the first turn. Nothing doing there. David Rossi then could have a chance into turn 2 through Williams. No, off-camber corner. So hard to go side by side through there, but that shook things up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ove now tagged onto the back of this line completely.
So many different lines coming into Atwood Corner, including up in front of him, Olsen and Risto side by side off the turn. But Pekka, once again, seems to have the corner exit sussed out as he stretches away, as Rossi and Trangrade are going to try and decide 14th position. Just behind them, more side by side between Olsen and Pekka Risto. It is all happening in this group, and it's going to go south. There goes John Olsen off the course.
Yeah, it was going to be an epic move if it came off, but he just turned in a little bit too early, caught his left rear against Risto's right front, and I think it's actually damaged Risto's car as well.
Oh, it was looking like such a great fight up to that point. And again, you cannot fight that close in these cars. You got to take such care. And for John Olsen, he was a little too careless. Trangrade, my goodness, Trangrade slicing through. He's going by Pekka Risto now, and David Rossi. So Trangrade's now up to 12th. A bit of that chaos helped him take a few positions in there, but man, he sliced through that group.
Yeah, and Pekka Risto definitely has some damage or is not happy with the car. He's actually looking like he was just trying to get out of the way at that point. But that was really unfortunate. That would have been a great move had it come off. It was just a little bit too early on the turn in.
It is a thin line between a brilliant move and a disaster in racing, and unfortunately it went towards the latter this time. So coming down the backstretch, drivers still kind of jiving around, trying to figure out if they want to attack or defend. Saw a little bit of a look back there between Risto and Ridley. Oh, Risto's still going to try it. Very late coming down to the hairpin, but not sure if that damage is letting him get as deep as he so desires into that one. You're not missing anything up at the front. Still about 5 seconds between Topi and Brandon. In fact, Sebastian Tixier has not been able to hold tight at all to the back of them. He is now 6.5 seconds behind in third, but another valuable podium finish to help him take third in the championship potentially here today. No Xavier Sanchez and no Toga Hisada to try and challenge Sebastian. So he is going to have a clear run to extend that gap from third to fourth after today. And it's been a fascinating race out here at our second Japanese track of the season, with a lot of action and maybe a little bit of disappointment for a few drivers.
Yeah, and we did say it was going to be difficult to pass here, and we've obviously seen a little bit of contact and a couple of cars going around because of that. But, you know, a huge check up there for Kyle Ridley with the lapped car. He's actually just lost that position to David Rossi, so he falls down to... actually, no, sorry, that's Pekka Risto recovering. He's back down to 15th. Ridley is now. Risto up into 14th.
Yeah, Christian Arribas was the car they were trying to get by and are now through. So Pekka Risto back into that P14. Oh, and did Matt Wright just overtake Haraski? He did. So, oh no, excuse me, that was a defense. Matt Wright outbraked himself into the hairpin. Oh, and something's happened to Plumley. Robert Plumley is off at Piper. We're going to see a replay. So this is Robert in the yellow and blue. Coming down into Piper. Ah, wheels in the grass.
Yeah, right rear on the grass as he hit the brakes there.
And that was Ove Trangrade going by him as well. So now up to 11th for Ove. What an impressive run this has been. Going back to Haraski in the meantime. This is still a battle with Matt Wright.
Ove's
after
just gone wide at turn 1. He hasn't lost any positions from it, but you can tell he's pushing.
Haraski made his mistake last lap coming into the hairpin, and since then has been under pressure from the number 14. This is for 9th.
Yeah, and this pairing is not... Well, they are too far behind Laustolson at this point. For a while, I believe they were much closer. I was almost looking at this kind of grouping. I'm hearing that Jorge had a mistake, and that's why he's dropped back.
Yeah, he's down at 8th. Let's take a... Whoa!
Oh, that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, we saw that smoke, and I kind of wondered what caused that. There's the answer. Big damage. He's going to be a little slow in a straight line. The question is, how is the car going to handle in the corners? Did he hit any of the suspension? And we should be white flag this time. No, 2 to go. We're 2 to go here. As we are, this is not the leaders we're following crossing the line here. So they're getting the 2 to go signal as they cross right now. That's Walker and Zoko still. And this is for the 5th position. Walker's regrouped, and it looks like he's starting to once again apply immense pressure, knowing that the chances are dwindling and he's not going to have many opportunities. So he's got to be there to strike if he has anything open up.
Yeah, he's got to try and force a mistake from Ben, I think. And we've already talked about that and how difficult that is to have that happen. But if he wants to do a proper move here, this is an opportunity. He's going to try and send it on the inside of the hairpin. Maybe, nope, thinks better of it.
Somebody locking up in front of them big time. That is, that's Andrew Ang, one of the lap cars trying to get out of the way. Also, I can update on Jorge Nieva. He is definitely limping. He's let multiple cars through intentionally, knowing that he's just trying to get to the finish from here. Meanwhile, as Ryan Walker stays on Zoko, Cortinimi's crossing the line now to take the white flag. 1 to go.
And Ove's going to get back into the top 10 here at the expense of Nieva.
Yeah, so Ove watching that number 16. Wonder if he's aware that that car is not at 100%. Well, that's going to be a clue right there as it wriggles coming off of Redmond corner. And certainly got to think down the front stretch it's going to be an easy pass.
Yeah, you would think. I don't think he's going to send it here into the last corner. But certainly into the first corner, yeah, and then Nieva ran wide as well. So this should be a fairly easy pass here for Ove.
Down to the inside. Nieva not totally fighting it, but also not giving it up super easy there. And he is through a little deep into the corner. Nieva not able to try and cut back underneath, though, in the meantime. Not missing anything between Zoko and Walker. They separated slightly after he was so close on that last lap. So unless he gets a big mistake out of the Australian, I'm not sure that he'll be able to crack into the top 5. However, Topi Cortinemi, what a run it has been. Looking for that second championship to become only the 4th ever driver in the Grand Prix Legend Series to become a multi-time champion. He is well on his way. 4th win of the season here for Topi Cortinemi. Brandon Hawken, for the 4th time in a row, also comes in second behind him. Nice run for Sebastian Tixier to round out the podium. Quite a bit of a distance between a lot of drivers. Oh, Ove Trangrade's going to try and get another one. He's working on Miro Raski. And my goodness, Raski just about wrecked in front of a lot of cars right there, but held onto it.
Yeah, Raski will pick up that last spot in the top 10, I think. But Nieva's looking to try and steal it back at the end. He might.
Not sure if he's got the straight line speed with the damage on the nose of that car. So as they cross the line and come to a bit of a messy finish, looks like it is going to be Trangrade at least getting back to 9th, down 5 from where he started, but amazing run through the field. And they continue to trickle across. 24 drivers are going to be able to complete all 23 laps here today. Ray Oliver will be the last amongst them. That's going to take us to a break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Okayama. Round 7 of the Grand Prix Legends series sees Topi Kortaniemi get a 4th win in a row. This one, he kind of had it all to himself as he had a massive gap in qualifying, and nobody really was close enough after the first lap of the race to do much about the massive lead that he had managed to start. Brandon Hawken kept him honest, about 4.5 seconds back, but was never much of a serious threat unless he could get a mistake out of that number 2 car. Sebastian Tixier, with a well-earned podium position, is looking like he's going to solidify his place in 3rd in the points. And Nico Leno finished 4th today. Ben Zocco holding off all comers to get a top 5 today. Ryan Walker was right on top of him for almost the entire race. Just couldn't do anything about it. Finished 6th. Lau Stolzen, P7 behind him with Matt Wright, finishing in 8th. Ove Trangerade, early mistake in trying to make a pass cost him. He went all the way down the order and then climbed all the way back to 9th, with Miro Haraski finishing 10th behind him.
Oh yeah, Nevo unfortunately lost out on a top 10 late in the race with that spin, but was able at least to finish and comes home in 11th. David Rossi, another good run for the F2 leader. He comes home in 12th. Robert Plum in 13th. Pecaristo, so have an eventful afternoon. He comes home 14th with Kyle Ridley, new name to the series there, in 15th. John Olsen, unfortunately, had that spin whilst trying to make that move on Pecaristo and ends up in 16th with Will Lamb 17th. Cam Porter 18th. Javier Mosquera in 19th. And Marcus Sofer rounding out top 20.
21st was Michael Grissinger, bested Don Peak, who finished 22nd today, with Matt McRae in 23rd. Ray Oliver was the last one on the lead lap in 24th. It was Zach Purcell, 25th, and Carol Quay in the 26th spot. After that, Andreas Nielsen was 27th, Nathaniel Johnson 28th, and Andrew Ang 29th. Terry Tromashauser was 30th today.
31st, Christian Arabes with back row Bob, Robert Reynolds alongside him 32nd. Tobias Harnvey, not a particularly great race for him, unfortunately, 33rd, and the last car on the lead lap. Robert Pangrazi, 2 laps down at 34th, with Shinzuka Tsushima in 35th. And then, unfortunately, the 4 cars that kind of didn't really make it to the end of the race, Dave Cohen, Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado, Andrew Joyce, and Emilio Largo rounding out the 39-car field.
Ready to talk to our winner once again, Topi Kortaniemi, with another victory in hand. And Topi, I got to think that with this one taking over the points lead, you got to start feeling pretty good about how the championship is shaping up.
Did I take the points lead?
I believe so. You should have after this one. It was a 4-point difference going in and a 5-point swing.
Oh, thanks. Nice. Yeah, we'll see what the rest of the season brings. Brandon was fast today. I think he just got a slowdown on first lap and then was battling with Seb for a long time, I think.
Yeah, it was a slowdown on, I think, lap 1, and then had to fight his way back. Eventually got past Seb, but yeah, it seemed like he had pretty good pace compared to you, but we were kind of back and forth up in the booth on whether or not that was genuinely him keeping up with you, or were you kind of just managing your own pace?
Yeah, I was kind of keeping it safe, just not to make any mistakes and not take any slowdowns, and not bump with the traffic and so on. So, like, lose 0.2, it's okay, but don't lose like 20 seconds. That's not okay.
Now, these 4 races that you and Brandon have finished 1-2 in every single one have been a little bit more straightforward traditional racetracks. We're going to Monza combined next time out. That's going to be a little bit harder for keeping control of things, I got to think.
Yeah. I think it was the first race I did in the series was in the Monza combined in the without second or first again. Yeah, so we'll see if it goes better this time.
Best of luck on that, and I'm sure you're going to need a little bit of luck there to manage to pull that one off. But still, a 4th win in a row. Congratulations! Anybody you want to thank?
Mick, of course. I think he's in Belgium or Netherlands. Again, doing it all over again across Europe. So best luck to you, mate.
Yep, somewhere around there. We'll need to check in with him pretty soon. That was Topi Kortaniemi there who finished first today. And up next, I believe, Christian's caught up with Brandon with another second place.
Brandon, the race pace looked really, really strong. You were able to hold Topi at about that 4.5 to 5 second margin, but how frustrating was it to pick up that slowdown so early on and lose that chance to fight with him?
Man, whenever you get a slowdown penalty, especially at the start of the race, your heart just like sinks, Man, it was just a really dumb mistake on my part. We were going a little bit slower because it was the first lap than usual, and I just turned in too much, and I knew it was gonna be close, but then I saw the penalty pop up. I was like, oh man, really? No, not this time, But man, I was really happy with the pace today. I took your advice from last week and just kept working on it. Got it to a point where like I'm a lot closer now. So man, I can't wait to hopefully be able to battle Topi wheel to wheel. And man, yeah, just felt really good today. Car felt a lot more stable. I think I think I know of a thing to change for next week, and I'm really excited for the weeks coming forward because car was just driving a lot better today, and man, it was a lot easier to drive, had more pace, and I think we'll be up there shortly.
Wow, it's great to hear, and yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for us that we didn't get to see the battle today, but next time out is kind of probably the most crazy track I think is fair to say that these cars race on. Monza combined with the oval. We know it's going to be a draft pack. Have you got any thoughts on that? I know that you race MX-5s. The draft is a really big thing in those. So do you think that's going to help you for Monza combined in the Lotus 49 at all?
Maybe a little bit. Man, I didn't know it was the combined layout. That's crazy. So, man, yeah, on the oval, man, yeah, that's a really long way around, and we got that huge straightaway. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. There's gonna be, just gonna be pass after pass after pass, I'd imagine. So, it's probably all gonna come up to timing, and I'm assuming the draft will be quite a bit stronger than the MX-5, which is you don't see that too often. So it's gonna be like pretty much like a super speedway race out there. I have experience with that too. So hopefully my experience with that can kind of I can put that to use next week. And man, we'll see how it go. It'll be less about setup this time, more about just like timing those runs, I think. So man, I'll see how it goes next week. I feel really good with what I have here. So if it doesn't apply next week, I'll actually we're at Michigan the week after, so that'll be a lot of fun too. So have a couple weeks to see what I got with this new setup here, and hopefully you'll give Topi a run for his money next time. And great run from him as always today, and great job from everybody. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's certainly kind of a wild couple of weeks coming up. Obviously, Monza is the combined, Michigan the oval, and they probably are going to race fairly similar, but it should certainly be a lot of fun. The 49 on ovals is a very, very underrated car. I think it actually is a great car on ovals. There was obviously a Week 13 series with it where it ran at Indianapolis, and I think that kind of exposed people to it a little bit more, and just showed how good an oval car it is. So I'm excited to watch both of these. But before we let you go, anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just like to shout out you. Thanks for the tips there last week. You got all you guys at GSRC, everybody who shows up on all these Saturdays. It's been a great time, and we're looking forward to next week. Should be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us, and congratulations on another second place finish.
Hey, thanks guys.
So P2 for Brandon Hawken, but up next we've got fifth place finisher Ben Zoko ready to chat with us as well. And Ben, last time out, you had a bit of a spin at Fuji and had to try and recover. This time, though, you kept the mistakes away and held back a very strong fighter in Ryan Walker. What made the difference for you?
getting tagged from behind. No, that was a good race. Consistency, that was the qualifying laps, every single lap of the race. I guess Ryan was probably getting the same thing. What was it, 129.8 or something? Every single lap. It was crazy. I knew that if I kept that pace, that judging by qualifying, he was pushing as fast as he dared as well. So I don't think either of us had much more pace, but I was able to just keep it consistent and not make any mistakes going at that pace. I figure if he found some pace and tried to make a move on me, I still had a little bit up my sleeve to defend. So yeah, that was tough, but fun.
Yeah, we talked coming into this race about how this is some of the base content that comes with an iRacing account. So many road racing drivers are very, very familiar. Do you feel like that does make it even harder to try and find that edge over others, since everybody kind of knows places like this inside and out?
Yeah, I think it could. Yeah, I think it's the layout of the track and these cars on it. It evens the playing field a little bit. It seems it's pretty difficult to pass, but if you do get alongside, a battle can carry on for multiple corners. So it's a fun track. I'm happy to do endless laps on it. It's good. One of my favorites.
Yeah, we've seen so many long battles in here, some of them going on for almost full laps. Yeah. Thinking of the Camel Series at times.
Yep.
We've talked to the other drivers about it, and how are you feeling coming into Monza combined? I feel like that has a divisive effect on a lot of people, and if they're excited for it or groaning as they approach.
It's a classic track. It's a classic track for this series. It's bonkers. It's a lot of fun. I like it. You're doing 350 k's an hour in a draft. Wait for the last lap and send it into Curva Grande. But also, there's the jump. You never know when it's going to bite you. It's my son's 3rd birthday next week, so I don't know if I'll do the morning race, but I should be free to be here on the broadcast, which is good because through real life commitments, I've missed Monza the past few years, and it's a favourite track of mine ever since doing my pretty much first kind of online race in VROC back in Grand Prix Legends, in the Lotus 49 at the historic one there. So I think I won my first online race at that track in a small grid of random cars back in the Grand Prix Legends days. So that's got to be like 22 years ago. So Monza holds a special place in my heart, and the combined layout with these cars is crazy. Like you said, a bit divisive because sometimes it can be a bit frustrating when you come up against a crash across the jump, or when you're leading the race for the whole race, and then on the last lap you get drafted by 4 or 5 cars or something. But it doesn't take away the excitement of being 2 or 3 wide through the high banking, going back into single file over the jump, trying to pick your draft down the main straight, and then 2 wide or whatever through Curva Grande. I don't know if it's got chicanes or not, but the second chicane ends up being really fast if it's not there. And yeah, Monza's just a cool track, so I think Brandon might find that the car's a different beast when it's set up with the really long gears and stuff like that. So it's going to mix it up. There's going to be a huge pack. Hopefully I will be up there in that draft pack in the top 5. I think I won a race on the broadcast here many years ago in a series at Monza, or at least I got a podium. But maybe something like that can happen again to one of us less quick guys.
Yeah, I was just looking at the stats, and I don't see it on here for past winners from Monza combined, but you never know. It might not be complete on that one. Even still, we do hope we get to see you next time out. And yeah, I'm excited as well to see what Brandon thinks of what is a wild circuit for this car. As that was Ben Zocco finishing 5th here today. One more that we've got to talk to. Christian's caught up with 6th place Ryan Walker, who was attacking on Ben all race long.
Yeah, Ryan, it just looked like you were just locked in this battle with Ben the entire race. And, we've seen this with you kind of throughout the season. Battles with yourself, Bill Tyler, Ben. It's kind of this group that always sort of forms up. What's it like, kind of knowing that you're essentially going to be racing against the same group every week? And how do you kind of prepare for that? So, like, how, going into Monza, do you prepare to best Ben in the battle next time, so to speak?
I don't really worry about racing against the people or the same people as like them, because you know how they race, and they know how I race, so there's no worries. It's not like other official series where you have to worry about people possibly dive bombing you or doing silly moves. You know how each other races, and there's a lot of respect I find between us, so that's always good. I think Monza combined, it's going to be not about who's the quickest or anything like that. I think it's just going to be about survival, just especially with that bumpy tri-oval oval section, I guess that you could call it. So, but unfortunately next week I can't make the broadcast race, but I'll probably do the Thursday race just to keep my foot in, if you like, and just see how it goes.
Well, we'll definitely miss you next Saturday. Obviously, it's certainly going to be an exciting race. It always is for Monza combined. But what about the one after that, if you're going to be able to make that? Michigan, obviously oval with the 49. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
I've never done an oval race with the 49, to be honest. So it's just going to be a case of just go into it, see how I get on. And if I finish, I finish. I'm not really worried about the result, to be honest, because oval races, it's not about who's the quickest. That's it. Oval races are a lottery if you survive or not. So survival is just the aim for me, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, sounds good. And is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to for your run today? I mean, we've seen you running inside the top 10 consistently so far this season, and you've been on the cusp of breaking into top 5s.
Yeah, first of all, John Olsen for providing an awesome setup. I mean, I never had that much time to practice this week, just because I've been busy with work, and also being unwell with tonsillitis, so it's kind of just not had the energy or the time to practice as much as I hope. So thanks to him for the setup. You guys for putting on the broadcast as always. Looking forward to watching it back, and Benjamin as well for that awesome battle. Every time I got a run on him, I just could not get by it, and I think he mentioned that we were lapping round about the same sort of pace, mid-29s I think, so trying to get a run on him and get close was just nigh impossible, but still happy with a top 6, and I'm happy with the season and the way it's going so far. I mean, I've had a couple of wins in the Lotus 49, but not in the broadcast race, unfortunately. But when you've got the likes of Brandon around us, and Brandon, Toppy, Sebastian, Ove as well, it's just it makes it difficult. But top 10 results so far this season, it's good. It's been going well.
Yeah, it's certainly been a good season, and we're glad to hear from you, and glad to hear that you're doing better, and hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Michigan.
Thank you, Christian, and thanks for the broadcast, guys.
That was Ryan Walker here, who finished 6th today, and that's going to wrap us up. So again, we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and to the team today, Rob, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race will be at Monza, as we mentioned, and if you haven't seen a Monza combined race before, you got to tune into that one. That'll be Saturday, August 6th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. including later today, the Camel GT Series is going to Australia for Phillip Island at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.